You glad to be at church today? Come on, we're gonna sing a new song. Put your hands together like this. Yeah. Now the darkness fades. Sing it. Now the darkness fades into new beginnings as we lift our eyes to what won't be on. All creation waits with an expectation to declare the reign of the Lord our God. Come on. We will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. And for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Now the silence breaks in the name of Jesus, as the heavens cry and the earth responds. All creation shouts with a voice of triumph to declare the reign of the Lord our God. Yeah. We will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. And for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Come on, church, sing, He shall reign forever. He shall reign forever. Strongholds now surrender, for the Lord our God is overcome. Who can be against us? Jesus our defender. He is Lord and He has overcome. Come on. He shall reign forever. Strongholds now surrender, for the Lord our God has overcome. Who can be against us? Jesus our defender. He is Lord and He has overcome. If we will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. Oh, yes, He has. And for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Oh, yeah. We will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. Yeah. And for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. He is overcome. Come on, church, if you believe it, give Him praise today. Come on, church, let's sing this together. From rising sun till kingdom come, your faithful love is unfailing. Though shadows turn and tempests stir, still you, O God, are unchanging. Through every hour, I will recall my hope is Jesus. Great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. sure of nothing more, in Christ alone, my portion. Through every hour, I will recall my hope is Jesus. Lift it up, we sing great. Great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. I lift my eyes, I won't forget how great your faithfulness. Oh there'll be a season for joy and weeping in everything. Our God is faithful, his arms are open. I will come running now and always. Our God is faithful. Sing it out. There'll be a season for joy and weeping in everything. Our God is faithful, his arms are open. I will come running now and always. Come on, church, declare this truth today. Come on, sing it out. There'll be a season for joy and weeping in everything. Our God is faithful, his arms are open. I will come running now and always. We sing great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. I lift my eyes, I won't forget just how great your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. We sing, great is your faithfulness. I lift my eyes, I won't forget how great. Come on, sing, I won't forget. And I won't forget your faithfulness. No, I won't forget your faithfulness. Come on, church, all across this room, let's declare that again together. Great is your faithfulness. Great is, oh Jesus. I lift my eyes, I won't forget how great your faithfulness. Oh.
God, you're so good. And we sing that you're faithful, not because they're words on a screen, but because you are our faithful one. And so many of us in this place, our stories are at different places. For some of us, it is good. Some of us, it's bad. Some of us are celebrating life, and some of us are mourning loss. Some of us are in seasons of plenty, but some of us are experiencing seasons of lack. And through every season, you are constant, you are good, you are faithful. And God, you are able and willing. And with that on the forefront of our mind, we posture ourselves to surrender to you, trusting you, trusting your path for us, trusting that you are good. So God, we give you everything. Oh, to Jesus I surrender all. To him I freely give, and I will ever love and trust him in his presence daily live. I surrender all, and I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all, everything. Oh, to Jesus I surrender humbly at his feet I bow, and worldly pleasures all forsaken. Take me, Jesus, take me now. Every voice. And I surrender all, Jesus. I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all, and I surrender all. Yes, I surrender all, and all to thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all, everything. I surrender all, Jesus.
You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. Come on, sing it. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child. Come on, church. And I'm no longer. Oh, I am a child of God. Yes. From my mother's womb, have chosen me. Love has called my name, and I've been born again into your family. Your blood flows through my veins. We sing, and I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. Come on, sing it again. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, no. Oh, I am a child of God. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. We are yours, God. Oh, you call us by name. You are our Father.
You split the sea so I could walk right through it, and my fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God. You split the sea so I could walk right through it, and my fears were drowned in perfect love. And your love, and you rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God.
Come on, church, sing in this power. Yeah. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. Come on. I am a child. Oh, yes. You split the sea so oh, yes, you did, God. Oh, yes. My fears were drowned in perfect love. Your love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child. Yes. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. Yeah. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. No. Oh, I am a child of God. Come on, sing it again. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. And I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. I am a child. Oh, I am, and I am a child of God. Come on, church. Oh, yes, we are your children. Yeah. Come on, City Hope family. Oh, yes, we are yours. Are you excited this morning? Wow, what an incredible morning. You guys can have a seat this morning. We're so glad that you're here.
Well, welcome. My name is Joel Oates. I'm the campus pastor here at City Hope, and I'm so glad each and every one of you are here. If you are a first-time guest, can I say welcome? We're so thankful that you're here. Would you do me a favor? Directly after this service, I'm going to be out in the Commons in a place called The Square. If you've got time, would you head out those double doors following this service and stop on by? I'd love the chance to meet you, love the chance to shake your hand, get to know you. I also have a gift that I would love to give you just as a way of saying thank you. We hope you have an incredible morning this morning, and we want you to know how special you truly are. City Hope family, can we show them how special all of our first-time guests are this morning? You know, as a pastor, I love seeing people grow. And one of our core values that we always talk about is this healthy things grow. And one of the ways that we offer that and we give people a tool and a means by which they can kind of take that next step and learn how to grow is by inviting to one of the next classes. If you've never been to one of the next classes, let's stop standing on the sideline and start getting in the game, because I believe God has so much in store for you and your family. It's incredibly easy to get involved into a next class. You can do one of two things. You can go online to cityhope.cc/next and sign up for one of our future next classes, or you can go by the square and get connected with one of our Connect team members who will sign you up. And if you choose to do so, we would love to bring you to our brand new next time, which is today at 11:30. So directly after this service, you can roll right into a next class and discover all that God has in store for you. Well, guys, we've been talking about it for several weeks now, and Financial Peace University starts today. It starts today. We've been praying, we've been asking the Lord to do so much through this tool that He has already been using. So many families have already gone through it, and we're excited right now. And I want to kick off this celebration right now by announcing some winners. And you're asking, Joel, what did they win? Well, these winners were just one of the many families that walked through this past summer, our earlier time of Financial Peace University, for 9 weeks. And here was the challenge that we offered. We said, if you are faithful 8 out of the 9 weeks of walking through it, you would automatically be entered in to receive a $1,000 emergency fund. And this morning, I get the privilege of announcing our winners, Jason and Holly Moran, right now. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you, guys. Thank you for your faithfulness. You know, Jason and Holly really embody many of our families here of just saying, I just want to do this right. I just want to see freedom introduced into my family, not just for me, but for the legacy for my children and my grandchildren, so that freedom can be introduced. I've already heard multiple stories, and you're going to continue to, of all that God is doing through this tool. So if you haven't signed up today, City Hope family, can I encourage you, don't leave today. Don't leave today without finding that representative, getting your kit, and seeing how freedom can be found in your life. Guys, I'm incredibly excited about what's going on. We're getting ready to start our 2-week series on how to tame your monster. So let's turn our attentions to the screen and check this out.
What's up, City Hope Church? Come on, everybody. I know you're excited to be here. Welcome to church. It is so good to be here with you guys today. And our entire church family is together right now. So you guys help me welcome the Mobile campus, Foley campus, Bay Minette campus. Hang on, wait for it. 3 correctional facilities, and everybody that's watching online. Come on, help me. Let's go right now. Welcome everybody. It's great to have you guys with us today. Hey, listen, today is a big day. I am so excited. Are you excited? Come on, everybody, every campus, are you excited? I mean, today is a big day, and if you came in and you have no idea what in the world is going on, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but we're starting something today that is just massive. It's just such a big initiative. It's something bigger than we've ever done before, and I'm so excited about it. We actually began this year talking about vision, and we began talking about what our vision is for the church. And one of those things out of our three big kind of the things that really God put on our heart, one of those is that we're going to be a church that fights for every family. Like, at the end of the day, that's what we want to be known for, the kind of church that just fights for family. And really what that means is that we're fighting for parents. Okay, it's not that we're not fighting for kids, but ultimately we're fighting for you, because as parents, you're the ones that are fighting for your family. And our goal as a church is to equip you and to do everything we can do to set you up to win in that fight. And so this fall, we're launching, actually today launches an initiative, if you will, that is, we're going to try to get as many, almost all of our church to go through Financial Peace University together at the same time. And the cool thing about it is that we're so close. We're so close. And I believe that today we're going to push over that line, and we're going to actually have 80% of our church enrolled in Financial Peace University. 80% of our church. Guys, that's incredible. Can you imagine 80% of anything doing something together? What that does. The unity, the synergy, the passion, just over the next 9 weeks as we, during the week, we're going to get into these Financial Peace University classes, smaller groups around tables, learning together, growing together, what God's going to do through that. And then for the next couple of weeks, it's this little series, How to Tame a Monster, is a 3-week series. And I'm so excited about it too. It's just going to kind of launch the whole initiative, just to kind of get it started. And then at the very end of the whole thing, we're going to come back together. We're going to talk about the monster one more time to celebrate how much we were able to pay off, how much we were able to save, and just all the incredible things that God did. But because I think at the end of this season, at the end of this initiative, we are going to be able to worship at a whole new level. We're going to be able to just thank God and be so grateful at a completely different level. We started this just a couple of months ago. Actually, we've been talking about it, like I said, since January. I kind of teased it all the way back in January, but in July is when we really kind of rolled this vision out and kind of what this looks like. And so I want to kind of recap a little bit of that with you, because I want everyone to understand, and I want us to all be on the same page. That every single one of us, or nearly every single one of us, have these monsters in our lives. And ultimately, the monster was created through our signature. And that's why, if you know, in our commons for the last few weeks, we've had artists out in our commons that have been creating monsters out of your signatures, which is really, really amazing. It's just blows my mind what artistic people can do, that they've taken our signatures, which is actually the thing that creates the monsters in our lives, right? It's the thing that we begin signing and making decisions, but they created these monsters. And so I wanted to show you a couple of my favorite ones real quick. This is Garrett's monster. Now, I'm not sure which Garrett this is, but you know, because you feel him breathing down your neck, Garrett. But he kind of looks like Jurassic Park gone completely wrong, right? But this began as a signature, and it evolved into a monster, which is what happens in every single one of our lives. Here's the next one. This is Jackson's. Jackson's monster, it's just crazy, right? This one actually has a brain, though. Maybe that's good. I don't know. But it's a monster, people. And then this is my monster. This is the one created from my signature, and he looks like a little old evil man. I don't know. Just like an owl in a nest, eerily looking at me. Creepy. Right? But this is the monster that was created because of the decisions that I made. And it all began so simple. For some of us, it began in college, before college, right? You know, those credit card things started coming in the mail, and you're like, somebody's giving me free money, baby. This is amazing. Right? It began with student loans. It began with that car because that guy had a car and you have to have a car. And it slowly began to snowball into the point that we're at now, where many of us are living with these monsters in our lives. But the thing about this monster, and here's all these monsters right here, the thing about these monsters is this. Money did not create the monster. And this is an important statement. This is an important thought, because it's very easy for us to point at a paycheck or the amount of a paycheck or our money in general and say that is the problem. But money did not create your monster. You created your monster. You are the Dr. Frankenstein, right? You are the one, the mad scientist in the lab that just had to have the thing. Then you created this monster that now wreaks havoc in your life, and it wreaks havoc in most Americans' lives. And the thing about money problems is that it bleeds into every part of our life, right? It's not just this little isolated problem. It bleeds into everything. It affects every single thing that we do in every single part of our life. But again, money is not the problem. We are the problem. We have created this monster. So many people think that if only I had a bigger paycheck, that would solve the problem. No, you would just spend the bigger paycheck just like you're spending the smaller paycheck, right? It would all be blown. It would all go to debt. It would all go to all these other things instead of actually bringing your family into freedom and into life and into actually enjoying and living an abundant life that Christ called us to live, right? There's these monsters that are wreaking havoc. Listen, if you spend more money than you make every year, you've got a monster in your life. If you don't know whether or not you spend more than you make every year, you've got a monster in your life. You've got a problem. And you're feeding that problem every single time you open up Amazon Prime and you get all giddy because it's free shipping. And you're like, but it's free shipping. It's got to be okay if shipping's free, right? And you're feeding that monster, right? We're spending, and we're feeding that monster. Right? So many of us have these monsters in our lives. Listen, some of us, we've got these financial dreams that are just like, man, one day, what if? These incredible dreams, but if you're not putting any plan in place, then there's a monster, and you're feeding that monster. You're not moving in the right direction. If every single month you only pay your minimum due on your credit card, you've got a monster in your life. If you actually think that paying your minimum on your credit card is good planning, you've got a monster in your life, right? You've created a monster. If you and your spouse argue about money, or if you and your spouse avoid money like the plague, you have a monster in your life, right? You have a monster in your life. If there are some financial decisions that you've made that you hope and pray your wife never find out about, you've got a monster and an angry wife. Right? If you've made some financial decisions that you hope and pray the IRS never finds out about, you may have more than one monster. You may have a couple of monsters, a whole gang of monsters, right? But here's the thing, the majority of us have monsters in our lives. And this may be a little bit of a review for some of you, but here's a breakdown of what the average American household looks like. Right here, this is it. And I'm going to kind of walk through this real fast. This may be a review for some of you. But this is a big deal. This reflects America. This reflects this room and every campus right now. This reflects us. So right now in this room, or at every campus, there are 2% of us that are potential millionaires. If you would, just raise your hand. That'd be great. Be cool. All right. 2% are millionaires right now. 10% are debt-free. Living large, baby. Houses maybe paid off or just about paid off. Stuck to a budget for years and years, been working hard to pay debt off, and now they are living like no one else. They're in a whole nother league, a whole nother place. They're living and they're giving, they're being generous, they're doing all these incredible things. They're completely debt-free. This is where, some of us may hope to get to this point, right? I hope I have that $1 million app idea one day, right? That I don't have to do anything, and it's like some silly little game kids pick up, and then all of a sudden, boom, millionaire, baby. Overnight, right? But a lot of us, this is our hope, right? We want to get to this spot. But the majority of us are here. Where 70% of us are living in this, which we'll just call broke and busted and disgusted. This, in other words, this is paycheck to paycheck living. This is covered up in debt, anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 worth of consumer debt. Right? These are the kind of people that would take, the majority of us, it would take almost a year for us to be able to get a starter emergency fund. It would take 6 years to pay off our debt. Right? If we miss one paycheck, if we're in this bracket and we miss one paycheck, it affects life in a major way. Gas going into the tank, food going onto the table. Like if we miss one paycheck, this affects life. 70% of us. And then there's 16% of us that have either filed bankruptcy or are about to file bankruptcy. That life is so bad, things are so turned upside down. Listen, 16% of people right here are paying nearly $3,000 a month in minimum dues on their debt right here. $3,000 a month minimum dues. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. Then we move one more step down. There's 2% that are death by credit card that are the same as the 16%, but you can add another $100,000 worth of credit card debt. They're drowning. 88%, you take these three right here and we put it together, and it's 88% that are in some way are not living the life we're called to live. They're not living the life that we're called to live. There is no life to be lived in this area whatsoever. 88% of us cannot embrace or have or live the kind of life that we're called to live. This is normal. In our world today, this is extremely normal. It's okay. It's status quo. It's accepted. Because we're keeping up with everybody else. This is okay, but this is not where we're meant to live. We're meant to live in this region, in this area, completely different than the rest of the world. This is who we are meant to be. Let me say it this way. If you want what normal people have, then do what normal people do. If you want what few people have, then do what few people do. And that's what this is all about. We're tired of being normal. As a church, as families, we're tired of being normal. We're tired of living the same way that everyone else lives and being okay with it and thinking that it's just okay. I believe that as a church, as individual families that ultimately create this big family, we're called to be different. We're called to live a different kind of life. And you know, Jesus, who had a lot to say about money, a lot to say about money. As a matter of fact, Jesus said more about money than any other subject. He said more about money than heaven, hell, or salvation combined. He spoke a lot about money. However, whenever we have an issue in life, whenever there's something that comes up in life, if you're a Christ follower, most likely you have the thought, I wonder what God's view is on this issue, or I wonder what Jesus said about this thing. However, money is the complete opposite. We'd rather go anywhere else to find out about how to handle money than God. And we avoid it, right? It's like this buffet that we go to, that we pick and choose what parts of Jesus we want to listen to. But yet money was the thing that he spoke the most about. And there's a very important reason why he spoke so much about money. And it's this, in Matthew 6:21. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will be also. See, a lot of times we think that Jesus just wants our money. And if you grew up in church and you had years and decades worth of this church history, you've probably heard that a whole lot, that the church needs your money, God needs your money, you better pay up. But that's not God's heart at all, because honestly, Jesus wants so much more than your money. Like, to say that Jesus wants your money is really downplaying it, because what he wants is your heart. What he wants is everything. He wants the shoes off your feet. He wants the hair on your head. Like, he literally wants you to say, Jesus, I am all yours. I am 100% of me, my family, my motives, my priorities, my values, my hopes, my dreams. Like, literally, it's all yours. Even this freckle right here on my face that I don't like, I give it all to you, God, everything. That's what he wants from me. And yet we say, oh, there's this little bitty part of me, this money thing that creates so much havoc in our lives, but yet I'm going to keep this one little piece to myself. And Jesus says, listen, that may be the last piece. When you give that piece to me, everything changes. All of a sudden, there's breakthrough. All of a sudden, everything changes when you take the thing that's most connected to our heart, right? We've earned this. We've worked so hard for this. And we say, no, actually, Jesus, I give it all to you. I give 100% of me to you. Listen, Jesus isn't trying to get our money. He's trying to keep our money from getting us. This is what he's doing. He's trying to prevent us from having monsters in our life that ultimately dictate and determine who we are and where we go and what we become and what kind of decisions we can make, right? All of a sudden, our yes becomes limited whenever we are bound to a monster in the past. Our yes becomes limited. In other words, God can't say, go here, do this, move over here, be generous over here, bless this family, do something for me. You can't. Your yes is limited. Right? It's tied up way back here in the past somewhere because you had to have that car. The leather seats were so nice. They not only warmed it, but they also blew the air up, and it was so weird. I had to have that car 3 years ago, and now, God, I don't have a yes to give you. Like, I don't have there's no opportunity for me to now say yes to you. And Jesus says, listen, I want all of you. I want that yes, and I want that yes. I want every single part of you. I want it. I want you because I don't want money to get a hold of you. I don't want the world's ways or priorities or values to get a hold of you. I want to have you, all of you. This is why this is a big deal, and he called us to live different. Why? Because he wants us to have freedom. He wants us to have peace. He wants us to have joy. So instead of us doing the normal thing that everyone does, he wants us to live different. He wants us to live weird. So guys, we're going to get weird. Is anybody weird? Right? Like this is what Jesus called us to be. He was weird. He said things that just baffled people, that was backwards and sideways and confusing. And why in the world would the first be last and the last be first? Why in the world would I forgive 70 times 7? Why in the world? I mean, all these kind of things that we go, that doesn't make sense. Why when someone hits me on this cheek would I turn so they can hit me on this cheek? Jesus, it doesn't make sense. But he says, this is the way my world works. It's different. It's backwards. And he speaks so plainly to this thought that we're not to continue moving the same way that everyone else is moving, but yet we're to go a completely new direction. We're not to be normal. We're to be different. We're to be weird. And in Matthew 7, he says this. He says, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. The broad path is the path that leads us where we don't want to go. The broad path is the path that leads us toward destruction. It leads us toward the place that brings worry and doubt and fear and confusion and comparison and envy and all these things in our life. It's the broad path. And this is where everyone is walking. This is common. This is normal. This is just, it's accepted as okay. And this is where the world is going. And he's saying, this is not where I want you to go. If you were to look up and look around, financially speaking, and there's a crowd of people making the same decisions you're making, doing the same things you're doing, buying the same kind of things, going into debt, all these. If you were to look around and there's a lot of people making those decisions, then you are in a crowd which puts you on the broad path, because many take the broad path. Why? It's easy. There's a big sign that says, go here. And everybody goes, well, I guess we're supposed to go there. The sign says so. Right? I asked all week long. I kept saying, why? I kept thinking, why in the world, if there's all this financial trouble in our world, why do so many people stay in the middle of it? Like, why do we keep the monsters? Why do we allow the monsters to survive? 88% of us. Why do we just keep this cycle going? And yeah, there's comparison, there's envy, and there's all these different things that it could be. But at the end of the day, you know what I came up with? It's easy. It's comfortable. It's accepted. Everybody else is doing it. Everyone else is living that way. Everyone else is bound that way. Everyone else is struggling that way. It's just so common that it feels like it's right. Right? And there's this thing inside of us, this internal thing that just, we want to be normal. We want to fit in. We want to be a part of the in thing in the crowd. And it's like, you would never tell your kids that. Right? You would never tell your kids, hey, just because they're smoking pot, you better go smoke pot. Because if they're doing it, it must be the right thing to do. No, you would say the complete opposite if you're a good parent. Somebody, come on. Right? You would say the opposite. Just because they're ruining their life doesn't mean you need to ruin your life, right? But as adults, we do the exact same thing. I mean, we just jump right in with the crowd, and we don't even think about it. Why? Because it just feels like it's the right thing to do. It's the normal way, but it leads to, go back to that scripture, Matthew 7, it leads to destruction every single time. This destination does not change. It's a fixed destination that when you take the broad path, you end up in destruction, worry, fear, comparison, envy, ultimately broken homes, broken marriages, when you take the broad path. Jesus called us to the narrow road. Jesus called us to the weird way. Before I go to the weird way, let me make this one other statement. You know, God's not the only one that has a plan for your life. The devil has a plan for your life. The enemy has a plan for your life. And his plan for your life is destruction. It's to lead you away from God. There's not a lot of science behind it. He doesn't really give a rip about you. All he knows is he wants to destroy you, and he wants to keep you from being able to further the kingdom of God. He wants to take you out of the game altogether. So if he can get you on the broad path and get you headed toward destruction, he's won. Even though you say, I'm a Christ follower, man, I've given my heart to Jesus Christ. But if you're living a broad road life, even though you've given your heart to Jesus, but you're still living a broad road life, on this earth, you are going to face nothing but destruction. It's going to be hard every step of the way. You're going to be filled with worry and doubt and fear and all these kind of things. And you're going to be literally experiencing hell on this planet, just waiting to get to heaven one day. Because you didn't stop and think, maybe I need to take the narrow path. Maybe I need to make some different decisions. In the next verse in Matthew 7, he says this, but small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Only a few people actually find it. Why? Because this road doesn't have a big sign on it. No neon lights. It's just Jesus. It's narrow because Jesus is the gate. He's the only way. He is the one and the only way. And to follow him is to walk the narrow path. It's to do what he's called us to do and live the kind of life that he's called us to live. It's probably a little tight. It's like one of those, it's uncomfortable. It's kind of hard to walk down this path. I wish I could get a little breathing room. I wish this thing would open up a little bit. Nope, it's a narrow path. Only a few people find it. Only a few people are willing to deal with it. But at the end of that path, the destination is life. And it's the destination every single time. The destination is life. It never changes. It's a promise. This destination is fixed. He's not going to play a joke on you and it's like, woohoo, it's over here, woohoo, it's over there. Every time, baby, that road right there, that narrow road is going to take you to the same place. And it doesn't matter if we're talking money. It doesn't matter if we're talking values. It doesn't matter if we're talking priorities. It doesn't matter if we're talking about relationships or the words that come out of your mouth. In every arena of life, if you choose to walk the narrow path, then you will find life. You will find life and life to the fullest, as John 10:10 says. The fullness of life, the abundant life. But it means making decisions that no one else is making. It means living the kind of life that no one else is living. The problem is most of us, we want or we expect that we can live a broad path life and get narrow path results. That's our problem. We think that as believers, I said the prayer, now I can live however I want to live. I can live a broad path life and get a narrow path result. And it doesn't work like that. The way you get to life, abundant life on this rock, on this planet, the way you get there is by the narrow path, by following Jesus, by opening up the word and saying, Jesus, what do you say about my money? What do you say about my values and my priorities and the way I raise my kids? What do you say about the way that I worship? What do you say about the way that I work every single day from Monday to Friday? What do you say about every part of my life, how I should love my neighbor and how I should reach out to someone in need? God, what do you say about it? We should live by this path, not this big old wide open path that everyone else is walking down, because that's where normal people go. Guys, we're not normal. And if you're normal and you fit in, then you're on the wrong road. You've chosen the wrong path. And that's what this season for us is all about, is that we're going to take the weird way. We're going to take the weird path, and we're going to find life, and we're going to enjoy and embrace the life that God has for us, specifically around the area of finances, but in general. This is what we're going to do as a church. We're going to go after the abundant life. Because fighting for your family, throw this next slide up. Fighting for your family begins on the narrow road. Fighting for your family begins on the narrow road. Because everything you do, you're setting an example. You're teaching. You're showing. You're teaching your kids. You're teaching the next generation. This is a legacy thing, what you're doing. It's going to impact future generations in a bold way because you are fighting for your family by choosing the narrow path. Now, to wrap up, there are 3 quick things. We'll say essentials to living a narrow road life. 3 essentials. There's more. I'm not that smart. There's just 3 that I got, okay? The first one is this, is you got to have a vision. Every one of us, we have to have a vision. Like if you don't have a vision for your family, but even a vision for what God could do through your finances, through the way you handle your money. Because your money is a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual thing. And you need to have a vision for what that looks like, because we know this to be true. In any arena in life, if you don't have a vision for something, it will fall apart. Your business. If you don't know where you're taking that business, you're never going to get there, right? You're never going to grow. It's never going to go anywhere. It's never going to become anything, because you're happy, hunky-dory, just right there where you are, right? Whatever part of life you want to move forward, you better have a vision for it. If not, as Proverbs say, it will fall apart. It will die. It will perish, right? Without a vision, you'll die. When it comes to your family, you got to have a vision for your family. What does it look like to live this abundant life? What does it look like to be free financially? What does it look like to live in a completely different place financially? Like, what could this be like? Because if you don't see that compelling vision, you'll never run full speed ahead toward it. You'll get to about week 7 of this whole initiative, and you'll go, I don't know. We got a lot going on this week. Right? But if you've got a vision and you go, no, we can get there. We can do this thing. You're going to stay engaged. Your head down. You're going to lock in. And even next year, 3 months into next year, you're still going to be rocking that budget. You're still going to be thinking about, I'm going to live the narrow road. I'm going to live a different kind of life because I've got a picture. I've got this idea of what God wants to do in our family, and I know it's possible, and I'm going to keep running. I'm going to keep gunning because it's coming. No more experiencing hell on earth. I'm getting to freedom. We're moving to freedom. And then for my kids' sake, I'm going to teach my kids a different way to live. I'm going to teach my kids a different way to handle money, because if you don't, the culture is going to teach them how to handle money. And they're going to wind up in the 88%. We don't want that for our kids, right? We don't want that for our kids. So what do? We teach them now. They watch us. And every single, we're going, this is the vision we have for this thing, and we're running after it with all our heart. And men, let me talk to you for a second. Man, now is the time for you to step up. Now is the time for you to step up and be the leader of your home that you're called to be. It's time, man. I mean, some of you guys, I get it, okay? There's some things, and money's probably at the top of that list, that you just kind of go, you know what, I got this. I don't need somebody stepping in and helping me. I can figure this thing out. I got enough. I'm working this deal, and I can move some stuff around. I'm going to figure this whole thing out, but you haven't. Right? And you're not going to until Jesus Christ steps in, until you actually follow the narrow path. And I'm challenging you to step up and do it. Quit putting it off for the sake of your family, for the sake of abundant life. Do it. Step up and lead your family in this. Maybe there's something in your life that you're afraid is going to be uncovered. Maybe there's a sin, or there's something there that's just buried back, and you know that the moment I step in there and I have to open up money and I have to unpack all this stuff, and it's all going to come out. Listen, you need to go there anyway, because you need to be able to give God 100% of your heart. It's time to step out. It's time to lead your family vulnerably, not with pride and arrogance, but to step out and say, I'm going to be God's man in this house, and I'm going to lead my family. I'm going to be the man of God that I'm called to be. Just last week, I heard a story out in one of the commons. A man kind of said, you know what, I'm not going to do financial peace. I think I'm okay. I'm not going to do it. And then he heard that his teenage son was going to be going through it on Wednesday nights with our youth ministry. And that changed everything. He said, I am doing financial peace, and every week I'm going to sit with him, and we're going to talk about what we're learning. And I'm going to coach, and we're going to talk, and we're going to learn together. That's what fighting for your family looks like. When you say, you know what, I don't care about my own pride, my own issues. I'm willing to literally lay everything on the table for the future of my family, because I'm fighting for my family. You got to have a vision for it, or you will fall apart. And the second thing we have to have is a strategy. We have to have a strategy. And the beautiful thing about this, an army never wins a war without a strategy, right? It's impossible, right? You have to have a strategy. And the beautiful thing is this is what financial peace is going to help us create. Every family individually, you are going to create a strategy of how you get to this place. But the thing that's so difficult about strategy is that it's a long game, right? It's a long game, and it requires me every single day to make the right decision, to keep taking a step toward the narrow path. That every decision, every step is either a step toward broad or narrow, and every day I've got to choose narrow path. Here's the strategy, but God, give me the ability to keep walking toward you. Eugene Peterson, who paraphrased the Bible in what we call the message version of the Bible. Just an incredible man, incredible author. But this is what he says about self-discipline. He says that self-discipline is a long obedience in the same direction. It's a long obedience in the same direction. It's not a one-time decision. It's a daily decision aimed toward the vision that God put in my heart. It's every day. It's every day a new obedient decision, a new obedient decision, a new obedient decision that gets me to the vision, the compelling vision, the vision that God has put on my heart for my family. It's every day walking toward that. Psalm 119:45 says this: I have gained perfect freedom by following your teachings. I have gained perfect freedom. This is what we're looking for. This is what we want, perfect freedom. How did we get there? By following your teachings, not by reading them. It's not just by reading the Bible or memorizing the Bible or memorizing his teachings or even preaching his teachings. No, it's actually by putting one foot in front of the other and actually following them. That's how we get to perfect freedom, and this is what we begin today. We begin walking this out, understanding God's teaching, understanding the way we're meant to live financially. And then we just got to live it. We got to follow it out. And then the third and last thing is this: we need a partner. To live this kind of life, a narrow road life, we need a partner, right? Because as you fight for your family, you need to know that there are over 1,000 other families that are also fighting for your family. That we're in this thing together, every single one of us, every campus, every person that's watching right now, we are in this thing together. We are partnered up together, and where 2 is stronger than 1, 1,000 is stronger than 100, 2,000 is stronger than 1,000. I mean, God is going to do something incredible that as we partner together as a church, we can do this. We can do this. I'm a kid of the 80s, man. I grew up in the 80s, and there was this cheesy, terrible B movie in the 80s that I loved. It was called The Monster Squad. Anybody Monster Squad fan? That would just be totally random. It was the worst movie in the history of the world, but I watched it 300 times. I mean, cheesy werewolf costumes and Dracula and the whole deal, but it was all about these kids, this Goonies-esque type of group of kids that all they did was hunt monsters and kill them. That's what they did. It was awesome. They were all my age, and they were killing Dracula, and I was like, yes, let's do this thing. But I look around, and I'm like, dude, we are the Monster Squad. Because what we're going to spend the next 9 weeks doing is killing monsters. That's what we're going to do as a church. We're going to link arms. Like my family's fighting for your family, and your family's fighting for my family. And you look across the aisles and the roads and all the campuses, you look, and we're all fighting for family. Together, we're going to kill monsters together, because there is absolutely no life when you have a monster on your back. There's no abundant life. There's nothing, absolutely nothing worse than a monster on your back. And that's what we're going to do as a church. We're going to go to a new place, a new territory, a new ground, a new level of God's freedom that we've never experienced before, and we're going to do it together. We're going to do it together. Think of the synergy and the unity that's going to happen and what God's going to be able to do through us. Just this summer, you've heard a little bit about it, but just this summer we did a smaller class to kind of prepare our volunteers and prepare our staff. So we did a 9-week financial peace class, exactly what we're all going to do this fall as a church. Our staff and volunteers went through it this summer. And out of all the families that went through it, at the very end, 83 of the households, they weren't all families, some singles, but 83 households reported and told us what happened after 9 weeks. Check this out. It's so incredible that after 9 weeks, 83 households retired $320,000 worth of non-mortgage debt. 83 households retired that much debt. And additionally, they were able to save $300,000 in savings on top of what they already had. That's a $620,000 swing. $620,000 swing in 9 weeks. In only 9 weeks, 2 months. Can you imagine what we're going to be celebrating 10 weeks from now? As a church, we go through this thing together, and we're going to put a number on this TV, and I'm going to get to celebrate. I'm going to get to hoop and holler. I may break dance. I don't even know what's going to happen. But it's going to get real up in here. It's going to be incredible, because as a church family, we're going to walk through the battle together. We're going to fight together, and on the other end of it, we're going to celebrate the win. We're going to celebrate that we've conquered. And then it doesn't stop there. We're going to keep going, and we're going to keep going because the strategy's in front of us, and we're going to keep plowing toward what God's called us to do. That's who we are as a church, and that's where we're going. And it's not too late to sign up. Today, we start today, but it's not too late to sign up. There's a class happening almost every day this week at every campus. You can look at times. I'm not even sure all the different times. It's crazy. There's so many opportunities. If your schedule changes, you can bounce around the different classes. We've tried to make it so easy. Even the rate, the price rate is so reduced. And if you need help, we're doing everything we can do to help you. College students and single parents, we're going to get you in the class for $20. $20. If you're a college student or a single parent, only $20. That's incredible. That's incredible. Why? Because we believe in you and fighting for every single family. Listen, get and be a part of this. It's going to be life-changing. It's going to literally change everything. And listen, if you're a part of the 12%, I have to say this. I'm out of time, but I don't care. If you're a part of the 12%, you're living large, this is not the time for you to back out. This is the time for you to lean in. We need you now more than ever. Okay? It will be so impactful for you to be sitting at a table as a family is struggling and they're trying to, and the enemy's fighting them and they're struggling with this thing, for you to be a voice of reason, for you to be a voice of hope and vision that can look them in the face and say, hey, look, you got this. I believe in you. Look, we did this. We fought this battle and we won. For you to be able to look across a table at a young family or an old family or a college student or a single adult or a single mom and be able to speak life into them will be huge. So do not check out. Lean in, be a part of this, because family, we're all in it. We're all in this thing together. All right, are you with me? You ready? All right, let's pray. God, we love you and we thank you for the season we're walking into. God, I cannot wait, God, to get to celebrate the life change, to get to celebrate the families that have been impacted, the freedom that's come to families through this initiative. God, we thank you, we love you, and I pray today, God, that people will step up, they'll sign up, they'll be a part, God, that they will not just cowered back, but God, that they will boldly and bravely step up and lead their families. Lord, we love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.